I wanted to get into myself. Part of it is what a win on Saturday in Baltimore would do for Mike Tomlin, and also kind of how you step back and look at this season, sort of depending on what happens. You know, if they keep winning, if they win the North, if they win a playoff game, like that's very easy. If they lose a bunch, if they go down the drain, that's very easy too. You're going to be happy in the first example, and you're going to be very upset in the second. But what about kind of the middle ground? What happens if they win Saturday, they clinch the AFC North, but they come up short in a playoff game? And so Andrew and Chris took a bunch of calls on this. I'd like to do the same. Maybe you have a different opinion, but I first want to give you mine and kind of weed through how and why I feel the way that I do about this. I would side with Mulsey here. And Mulsey's argument was that it's been too long since a playoff game was won in Pittsburgh. I don't care about the AFC North. That's not the ultimate goal. Win a playoff game. I get it. And I'm right there with you. And I have skewed on the side of defending Tomlin, at least in my Post-Gazette work, and here too. Kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's a very good football coach. I don't understand some of the overreaction that exists relative to Tomlin. I think people, for whatever reason, there's a sect of the fan base that just gets unnecessarily agitated at any mention of Mike Tomlin. I don't understand it. But I do think it's fascinating what a win for Tomlin would do or what a loss would mean. So we'll weigh into that. I want to kind of quantify, dig a little deeper into Saturday's game. And there's some important elements to it, certainly. TJ Watt, George Pickens. Do we expect them to play? Is that the right move? That was something I thought Starkey did a really good job of, sort of weighing the pros and cons. Do you bring them back? He and City Limits were debating that. I'm kind of an option C on that. Now, it worries me about not having George Pickens. And I don't want to fall too far down this rabbit hole because I do want to outline tonight's show for you. But as far as Pickens, if he can go, and I saw him moving around today on the south side, and there's no risk of re-injury, I'm much more okay with him playing and sitting out TJ. For the reason that I think the Steelers can compensate for that much easier. You look at Alex Highsmith, him being back, how important that is. Nick Herbig, same deal, Preston Smith. I actually think the Steelers did a pretty good job insulating themselves against an injury at outside linebacker. And so I think you can afford, and I understand what the record is without TJ. It's 1-11, it stinks. But you can afford to kind of slow play that and make sure TJ's okay. Not that you're going to put George Pickens back on the field at like 40% or something stupid and risk losing him, because that's certainly not an option. But if it's 50-50, that's the wrong terminology. But if I can get Pickens back on the field, I'm gonna really want to do it. So I want to hear from you. What would a win do for Mike Tomlin, for your confidence in Mike Tomlin, for your feelings on this season? And I don't mean just Saturday. I mean, what does he have to do? What do the Steelers have to do for you to call this season a success?